So we brought up the feeling of uncertainty and how they're related to both um, worry and unwanted intrusive thoughts. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about uncertainty in this time that is incredibly uncertain, where there's not only us not knowing if and when each of us are going to get sick, but also what are the implications of everything that's happening right now for our jobs, for our relationships with others, for culture and society in general. And so, Jenna, do you want to talk first a little bit about how you understand uncertainty and how uncertainty relates to anxiety?
Sure. I understand uncertainty as a part of everyday life that we all struggle with. But for some people, causes more discomfort, more distress, and more catastrophic thinking than for other people. So, for about 20 or 30% of the population, uncertainty is less tolerable. That's why in our field, we talk about anxiety and OCD as the core of it being an intolerance of uncertainty um, to a stronger degree than the average person. Um,
And so I would add that you're not crazy or weak
you know,
if you're feeling uncertain. We know that there's some biological basis to whether or not uncertainty is very, very uncomfortable for you. So you might be finding that even though we're all hearing basically the same information and have access to the same information, some people feel a lot more uncertain about what's currently occurring than other people. And what we mean by feel is like palpably, you can feel it in your body. When you start to think about anything related to what's happening right now, your heart might start racing. You might start to feel tingly. Your stomach might drop, and so there's nothing like again like crazy or weak about that. It just means that biologically you're having a stronger physiological response than other people, and it's likely that you're more that kind of strong physiological response might make you more preoccupied than other people, and it might give you the urge to do something to try to figure it out.
I like to think about it how most characteristics are distributed on a bell-shaped curve, meaning that most people have an average amount, and then a certain percentage of people are outliers, meaning some people have very little, and some people have more. So if you think about height, most people are about average height, and then some people are very short, and some people are very tall. And anxiety is the same way. Most people have about an average amount of anxiety, meaning their body responds at an average level to triggers or stimulus that bring up fear, stimuli that bring on fear. Whereas some people have very little, and some people have a lot. And those are the people. It's not their fault. They didn't choose it. They can't. Um, it's a biological um, distribution, and so it's just how their bodies were developed, and you learn to manage it, and you learn to get to know your body and know, oh, this is a thing that my body does, and I have to learn how to interact with it.
Yeah, and in Huddle Care, my online group program, we talk a lot about accepting your anxiety and your OCD, and we also talk a lot about shame. So, just as a comment or a follow up to what Jen is saying there, both shame and resistance to the idea that you might have a biological vulnerability that makes you more likely to experience anxiety as a palpable threat. Both of those, resistance and shame, can make it harder to learn to relate effectively to the reality of that biological vulnerability. So that can be, it's not just that you might be more highly sensitive, but you might also have shame about the
Right,
fact that it happens in the first place. And
right.
so we're hoping to educate people on what's happening so that you don't feel as much shame and then you take the steps to help yourself out.